David here with Figboot on Pens. Today I have for you a brand new pen which was introduced to the market a little bit over 2 months ago. It's a pen from Monteverde and it's called the Giant Sequoia. What I'm going to do today is go over the parts and features of the Giant Sequoia, talk about what I care for and what I don't care for, show some measurements, size comparisons, and provide a writing sample. And then stay tuned because I will be giving this pen away. I'll let you know how you can enter the drawing towards the end of the review. The good folks over at the Goulet Pen Company were kind enough to send this pen over to me for review and to give away. So there'll also be a link below in the notes where you can check out this pen on their site. Monteverde is a US-based company that started back in 1979, and it's currently a division of the Jaffa Pen Company. The pen arrives in this box. There is an outer sleeve that slips off, and then there's a clamshell box with the Monteverde name and logo embossed on top, kind of stitched into faux leather as well. And inside we have a pen. There's actually a tray here, and inside the tray there is some warranty information and some use and care guide. And then it also includes 2 cartridges, one blue and one black. Then here is the pen. It's named after the giant sequoia tree, which is also known as the giant redwood. These trees are typically found, or basically they're only found naturally in the eastern part of Central California in the Sequoia National Park. Now, in California actually has 2 different types of redwood trees. There is the giant sequoia and the coastal redwood. The coastal redwood is the taller of the 2, and it can grow over to like 370 feet, and the giant sequoia can grow to about 275 feet, but is significantly wider. So the giant sequoia trees are actually the largest living organisms on the planet in regard to volume, and that they can really only grow naturally in a 260-mile strip of the Sierra Nevada mountains in Central California, primarily in an elevation between like 5,000 and 7,000 feet. So there's just kind of a very small place in the country where they can actually grow. The trees can actually live for up to 3,000 years, but despite their monstrous size, the sequoia's wood is actually rather brittle, so it doesn't make for good lumber. And their thick bark is actually flame resistant. So, okay, that's enough tree facts. Let's take a look at the pen. Let's start here at the cap. At the end of the cap, it is wide and flat. And then when it comes to the cap, then it tapers up a bit, about 2.5 millimeters from beginning to end. And then we have the clip. I like that look of this clip. You'll notice there is no clip band. This is called a seamless clip, which I do care for. The clip is slightly curved and a bit thick, which I think is appropriate for this pen. The clip on a giant sequoia pen can't be a wimpy thing. It is a bit tight though. Sometimes you have to work it a little bit to use it. The clip doesn't necessarily really easily slide into your pocket or collar. You just got to work it a little bit. Then we have the cap band. It's wide, and on it it says Sequoia and Monteverde, USA. Now, I know this is very nitpicky, but I've never just been a huge fan of the font Monteverde uses for their company name. For me, it's just a bit too whimsical. It's like this close to being Comic Sans, which, as everyone knows, is the most evil of fonts. There is a small rounded step down to the barrel, which is straight until basically about here, and then it tapers down a bit to the flat end, which according to my eyeball math is about 60% of the size of the end of the cap. The cap twists off to reveal this very nice number 6 nib. It's a steel nib, and I really like the size of it, and there's a lot going on with it. First of all, on the bottom it's stamped Monteverde, USA, but then it also has Monteverde on the shoulder. I'm not quite sure why they have the company name on there twice. I don't believe I've seen that before. I actually feel it would have looked better if the name on the bottom was left off and you just have the one on the side. Just having one on the shoulder would have been a little bit different from anything that I'd seen before. Then you have the Monteverde mountain logo in the middle, and then the mountain ranges is actually mirrored across the top of the nib. And I really like that design aspect of the nib. And then on the side, it's stamped with M to indicate this is a medium nib. The giant Sequoia is available in fine, medium, and a 1.1 stub. And then here's a look at the plastic feed. The section is slightly concave. It transitions into the threads, which really aren't sharp at all. And there is a steep step up to the barrel. And while this step up is a little sharp, when I'm actually holding the pen, my grip really misses that transition. And I find the pen to be very comfortable in the hand and plenty long enough to use unposted. The cap does post, and it's light enough that it doesn't feel like it backweights or throws off the balance of the pen, and it's secure as well. I like the looks of this material. This is the brown model, which is kind of meant to represent the trunk of a giant Sequoia tree. Maybe I thought it could have used maybe a drop or two more of red in this brown to kind of more closely match the color of the tree. But I think the transitions of the color are really nice. I like that the transitions vary. Some are more distinct, some are more blended, and then there's even some which are kind of wavy, which appropriately enough kind of remind me of the bark of a tree. The giant Sequoia also comes in a green model, which I feel represents the branches and leaves of the tree. Okay, fun giant Sequoia fact. The largest trees in the giant Sequoia family can have over 2 billion leaves. I just thought that was a lot of leaves on a tree. It also comes in a blue version that's kind of sprinkled with some black and yellow coloring. I'm not quite sure how the blue ties into the tree though. So we'll see in the writing sample, but I find this medium nib to be very much on the fine side of medium, as well as a rather dry. That could be some of the ink as well, properties of the ink. But if I were to keep this pen, I would probably do a little work on the nib just to open it up a bit and increase the ink flow. But that's just a personal preference. There's nothing wrong with the pen. But since I'm giving this one away, I won't mess around with it. Whoever wins this pen might love it exactly as is. The Monteverde Giant Sequoia retails for $76. And I feel that that's an appropriate price for what you get here. It's well crafted. It's made from an interesting resin material that looks nice and kind of represents something. I like having pens that have a bit of a story behind them and have symbolism. And I feel that they incorporated the desired representation into this pen very nicely. I like the size of the pen. It has a nice girthiness to it without being oversized, which isn't everyone's things. Now, thanks again go out to the good folks over at the Goulet Pen Company for providing this pen for review and giveaway. You can check out the link in the notes below to see this pen on their site, as well as check out all the other goodies that they have over there. Speaking of the giveaway, in order to enter, simply leave a comment here on YouTube. Today is Sunday, August 27th, 2017, and you have until the end of day on Wednesday, the 30th, to enter. In regard to a comment topic, I've seen giant sequoias in person, and they are awe-inspiring. Maybe let me know about something in nature that you've seen or experienced that you felt was amazing. It could be something large or something small. The topic is not required, just a suggestion. If you wanted to follow me on Instagram, I can be found at Figboot11, and I have been fulfilling my commitment to be a little more active there and posting more pictures about things. And if you wanted to send me a magnet or any other correspondence, my mailing address is in the notes below. I'd love to hear from you. So now it's time for some measurements, size comparisons, and then a writing sample. Here we go with some size comparisons for the Monteverde Giant Sequoia. In regard to some other pens that have some nature themes, here it is with a Sailor King of Pen Pro Gear Sky. And then here it is with a Visconti Millionaire, which is made out of marble. And then here it is with a Canalea Pen Company Kilauea, which represents a volcano. And in regard to three other pens that all happen to be Viscontis, here it is with a Visconti Homo sapiens Dark Ages, which is made of actual volcanic rock. Then we have a Visconti Opera Elements Air. I'm not quite sure why the air is brown and why they have representation of that. And then finally, a Visconti Desert Springs Divina. So there's some other nature pens. So here we go with the writing sample for the Monteverde Giant Sequoia. That didn't skip there. That was me just not knowing how to write a G, I guess. This is a medium steel nib. And like I mentioned before, that it does write on the fine side of medium. At least this particular one does. The ink that we're using today is Monteverde Brown. That I thought paired nicely with this pen. This is what the ink looks like. It's a nice deep kind of, chocolately brown. Here it is next to Zeiss Kreuznach chestnut brown. And then here it is with Faber-Castell hazelnut brown. And this is what the bottle looks like. It's a nice bottle. It has a nice wide cap so that you can get just about, and it's deep enough so you can get just about any pen in there to use it. But I have noticed that the ink, at least for me, is a bit on the dry side, so this combination of a pen that's a little on the dry side and some ink that's a little dry maybe isn't the best for this specific pen. But I at least wanted to show those to you. So here we go with the rest of the writing sample. That for a steel nib, you're not going to get tons of line variation out of here. You can get a little bit if you press it. Just a little bit, not a lot. And in regard to reverse writing, it does it just fine. In regard to wetness, I had mentioned that this, at least specific pen and ink combination, are a little bit on the dry side, and that's represented by that little ink swatch there. So in regard to some fast writing, I don't know why I wrote those so small, but it does work just fine. But like I said, it's more of a fine line than a medium line. So there we have the Monteverde Giant Sequoia. I think, for a pen that's brand new to the market, or relatively brand new, that it's a decent addition to the market. It's made of some decent, unique materials, and it's well crafted, and I think it's a good value for the price. Thanks again to the Goulet Pen Company for providing this pen for review and for giveaway. Make sure to check out the link in the notes below in order to check out this on their site, as well as the other wonderful things they have on their site. So thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.